eyes gleam. Was I meant to break your fall? Friends open doors. When you refuse to pick the lock. Please don't walk away. When I light your cigarette. Two steps and you're in my head. Chase me down with a chaser. Throw me away without a thought. Ragged seasons never change.
Somewhere around me right now there are a bunch of bees because I can hear them, but I don't see them. But I don't think they'll bother me if I don't bother them. This past year or so, I've spent so much time in my hometown, like the most time I've spent here since I moved away years ago. 4 months of the time we spent here was when we were renovating our trailer, but since November, we've been traveling back and forth from here quite a lot. I had kind of a scary health issue come up in October, actually when we were on our cross-country road trip. So once I got back to California in November, I pretty much immediately came down here and I had to start going to a bunch of doctor's appointments. And in between the doctor's appointments, Scobie and I would go out in our trailer. We went to a bunch of different places. But since coming back and forth for all these doctor's appointments since November, I just recently found out that I'm pretty much totally fine. I mean, I have nothing major wrong with me, so that's all I care about. I'm totally okay. I don't have to worry, and we can leave and be gone for a while now. So this is probably the last time that I will be in my hometown for quite some time, because we plan to spend the next few years of our lives traveling and seeing the country and trying to find a new place that we want to live. So I'm not going to be back here for a while, which is kind of bittersweet because I actually really love it here now. I didn't always feel that way. I really hated it growing up here, hated it. So I didn't have the easiest time growing up here because I didn't like the weather and I didn't really have a lot of friends either, to be honest. I was really shy and I still kind of am, and I think that people kind of just thought I was weird. And I mean, they're not wrong. I am kind of weird, I guess, but now I appreciate those parts of me. And I've just really realized that sometimes we do need to experience hard things or difficult things to really appreciate the good things in our lives, you know? If you didn't know the dark, would you know what the light was? I mean, you'd know what it was, but would you realize how significant it is? I used to think about that a lot, and I thought maybe that you didn't need to know the bad to know the good. But now I really don't feel that way at all. I think you do need to have those experiences to be able to really appreciate and be grateful for the good experiences. So when I moved away from here to go to college, I picked a place that was pretty much the exact opposite. The Bay Area is nothing like this. It's cloudy every day. It's rainy and damp and gray. I mean, at least on the west side where I always lived when I was in the city. Once I moved away and I would start coming back just to visit, that's when my perspective really changed and I started to really appreciate the desert. I would come back from San Francisco and I would be warm and there would be sun and it was just like the best thing ever. And the more and more times I came back, the more I just started to love it and appreciate it. And I used to feel kind of bad that I took it for granted when I lived here, but now I don't feel bad because it taught me an important lesson. And when I did start coming back, it really just brought out like this creativity that I always had somewhere within me, but I wasn't in touch with. When I would come down here, I would take so many photos, like rolls and rolls and rolls of film, and that's what I would do. And this place became like a muse, and it inspired creativity in me that eventually I learned how to take that creativity and keep it with me all the time. So it was no longer just that I felt this creative spark when I came here to the desert, but I started bringing it back to the city with me. I really think that the desert kind of brought that out of me. So that's something else that I'm really grateful for. I'm making an ocotillo bark tincture. For this tincture, what you want is just the outside bark, so you don't want the pith inside. So I'm smashing it in order to separate them from each other, basically. But these leaves, the bark, the thorns, even the flowers, they can all go in the tincture. So I got a clean jar here. I'm gonna add this part to my jar. This piece of ocotillo that I have here, it did have some flowers on it, but I actually made a drink out of those instead. So what I did was I soaked them in cold water for a couple of days just to get a really good extraction. And I made sure that the blooms were open. And it created like this sort of infused water. Ocotillo is really good for like moving lymph fluids in your body. It's good for blood flow as well. And it is especially good for lymph and blood flow in the pelvic region. And I actually just found out that I have pelvic congestion syndrome. I don't think that I have it like too severe, but it happens that ocotillo is really good for that ailment. It's actually a protected plant in California, so you can't just go pick it or uproot it from a natural space. But a lot of people where I live just have it growing in their yards. So I got this from private property. You always want to look up the laws for what plants are protected if you plan to wildcraft or like forage plants from the wild. I didn't know that until recently, until I was doing some research about making an ocotillo tincture. Ocotillo is a really beautiful medicine that's been used by indigenous people for a very, very long time. So I feel very lucky that I was able to access it, and it's just very serendipitous that the exact issue I just found out I have can be helped a lot by this plant that I happen to be in the vicinity of, that I grew up being around my whole life. So I feel very lucky. Now I've got it all in this jar. I'm just gonna kind of like tamp it down a little bit so that it's hopefully all kind of near the same level, so that it's easier to cover with the vodka. Okay, so now we're gonna add this very cheap vodka I bought at Grocery Outlet. All that really matters is that it's 80 proof. We're gonna cover it. Okay. Yeah, it looks like everything is submerged pretty well. And you can let this sit anywhere from 4 weeks to 8 weeks. I will probably let it sit probably at least 6 weeks, maybe even 8 weeks, because I want it to be as strong as possible since I'm using it for a medical purpose.
my angel. Oh, yes.
She doesn't want to stay on my lap. She wants to run around.
Be free.
Sorry, Margie. That's not how it works. You're precious.
This is your cup, Marjorie, okay?
You're too precious. We can't let anything happen to you.
Oh, nice. Pour.
Thank you.
Nice. Homemade almond and cashew blend? Or
This one's just almond.
just almond?
Yeah. The best.
Oh-ho.
You want some?
She's had coffee before.
She likes to drink out of our cups, and one time she started drinking out of my mug, and it was coffee, and she didn't stop. She kept going.
Yeah. She doubled down. She went
Where
back
you
for
going?
more.
Oh, she did
actually.
go back for more, yeah. And then we decided that caffeine's probably not a good thing for a young cat.
Yeah.
Maybe when she's older.
We.
How was Wyoming? You gotta
Wyoming
tell us.
was yeah.
We missed you.
I missed you both so much.
We missed you.
Wyoming was beautiful.
I
It
know.
was gorgeous. Jackson is a cute little town. I don't know why I was expecting something much larger, but it was just like a small little town pushed up along this mountain ridge.
I
The
can see
Tetons.
why you might think it would be bigger.
Yeah, I thought at least there'd be a skyscraper. I don't know
You're
why.
joking. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I guess that's the city boy in
Did
me.
you really think that?
I thought there would be a skyscraper. Yeah. It was so nice to see friends from high school,
Yeah.
catch up with them, and then meet some of Joe, the bachelor, some of his friends that he made in Washington. There was just a lot of love in this friend group, a lot of respect, admiration, and we had some really fun times together.
What do you want to do for the rest of the day? You tired? I bet you're tired.
Yeah, I think I want to.
You slept on the plane though, right?
I did sleep on the plane a few times.
Today we should probably start getting Dusty back in order a bit since we'll be leaving soon.
Yeah, I want to clean the scamp.
And there's a full moon, so we have to check that
Oh,
out
yeah.
for sure.
Oh yeah, that
I think
would
we
be
should
fun.
climb up that. You remember the hillside I showed you that I used to climb up when I was a kid to hang out on? I think that would be a good place to watch the moon.
Well, we went and we watched, a full moon rise, maybe months back,
That
years
was
back.
That was like over a year
Yeah.
ago. Yeah.
So that
we
would be a
climbed
great
up that
spot
same
to do
hill,
that.
and it was a good spot.
Yeah.
So we should do it again tonight.
Oh my
I
god.
think.
Yeah, I'm down.
When I first moved away from this town at 17 years old, I initially got this sense of self-satisfaction from it. I thought I was so cool because now I live in a big city. But as I've gotten older, I realized it's not sustainable to base your self-worth on these impermanent things, like where you live, what you do for work, or by comparing yourself to others. Because these aren't the things that actually define you. And using factors like how much money you make or where you live as a shortcut to feeling good about yourself doesn't make for a solid foundation. And these things can change against your will in the blink of an eye, like we've all seen these past few years. I used to think that moving away would fix all of my problems, but the truth is that the inner struggles I faced followed me wherever I went. I think that growing up in a town like this that's so beautiful showed me how to see the beauty in everything and helped me to develop my artistic instincts. Here it doesn't matter if you're in one of the fancy neighborhoods or not. With the natural backdrop present with these mountains, everything is gorgeous. And when everything you're surrounded by is beautiful at baseline, it creates the perfect environment to train your eye to notice the extraordinarily beautiful things. Or to notice compositions that are compelling or unique. I really think that I would be a completely different person if I had grown up by the sea like I always wanted as a child. I actually was born in West LA, and I lived there for the first few years of my life. And as a child, I always wished my parents had never taken us out of LA and didn't understand why they wanted to leave. But now I'm so grateful that they didn't keep us there. It's so funny how your perspective can shift so much as you get older. I'm proud to be where I'm from and will always love this valley.
Gets drowned. I can't expect the world to turn. Found my dreams were yours to keep.
Gorgeous! Haven't even seen it yet! I already love it! There she is! So amazing. Stunning.
Bloody, we're not taking anything. Go get your breakfast.
I love the origin of the buns. Decorating the egg.
But Della could make them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Della, you and I should have made some.
Okay, goes cookies.
What's that?
Peter.
Take the film, one film twice. So I took it twice right away. Because I'm assuming that's what they